Captain Primus stared in disbelief at the hulking wreck of the ancient human warship, its ruined form dwarfing the Nijin scout ships that swarmed around it like gnats. The ship's alien lines and impossible scale defied everything the Nijian Empire knew about humanity. Primus leaned back in his command chair, unable to tear his gaze from the looming metal corpse on the view screen. He had been leading a routine scouting mission to this uncharted world when the derelict vessel appeared on their scans. Initial readings showed technology and design that surpassed the best ships in the Nijian fleet, and that was before they realized it was human-made. This changed everything. The humans were a minor species, just barely scraping the edges of the galactic scene. Their ships were crude, their weapons primitive. But this centuries-old carcass hinted at something more, something dangerous. Primus knew he had to uncover its secrets. He ordered an away team to board and explore the wreckage. They picked their way through remarkably intact corridors and compartments, marveling at the masterful construction. The humans' prowess in space warfare and ship design was etched into every bulkhead and beam. When Primus's crew recovered the vessel's damaged central computer core, he knew it could hold the keys to unlocking human potential and securing Nijin dominance. But Primus had no idea of the shockwaves this discovery would send through the galaxy. Within days, word of the human warship spread like wildfire, sparking fear and awe in the hearts of the Nijian population. The Empire's top researchers, led by the brilliant Dr. Zorgon, slaved night and day to crack the ancient ship's secrets and unravel the mystery of humanity's hidden strength. And deep in the shadows, the humans were already mobilizing. Commander Roy Robertson of Earth Defense Force received a cryptic warning about the Nijians' discovery. This was what he had always feared, humanity's most sensitive military technology in the hands of their greatest enemy. Robertson quickly assembled a crack team and prepared a desperate mission to retrieve the ship. Failure was not an option. But as both sides raced to control the derelict warship and its priceless data, a terrible truth came to light. The ship was connected to a top-secret human project, one that could have broken the Nijians forever. But some disaster had struck decades ago, leaving the ship abandoned and forgotten. Now the ship's ancient secrets could rewrite the future and shift the balance of the stars. The Nijians and humans alike were willing to sacrifice anything to possess them. And so a battle was set in motion, one that would shake the galaxy to its foundations as two races fought for survival and supremacy. As the battle for the Prometheus loomed on the horizon, the Nijian Empire and the human forces raced against time to uncover the secrets that could change the course of the conflict. Deep within the Nijin research facility, Dr. Zorgon and his team worked around the clock, their eyes strained and bloodshot from staring at the endless lines of code streaming across their screens. The central computer core of the Prometheus lay before them, its once dormant circuits now flickering with life as the scientists carefully probed its ancient systems. "I think I've got something," Dr. Zorgon muttered, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. The other researchers gathered around him, watching intently as he accessed a fragmented data file. USS Prometheus, NCC 1019, a deep space exploration and combat vessel, launched in the year 2178. The team exchanged glances, the significance of the discovery sinking in. The Prometheus was centuries ahead of any human ship they had encountered before. As they delved deeper into the ship's logs, a new revelation emerged. "There are coordinates here hidden within the navigation data," one of the scientists exclaimed. "They seem to point to a network of secret human outposts scattered across the galaxy." Dr. Zorgon's eyes widened. "If these outposts are still active, they could be serving as resupply points and strategic bases for the humans. We must inform Admiral Primus immediately." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Commander Robertson and his team prepared for their covert mission. Inside the stolen Nijin scout ship, Lieutenant Jack Maverick Hawkins deftly maneuvered through the alien star systems, his fingers dancing across the unfamiliar controls. "Intercepting Nijian communications now," Sergeant Daniel Hax Smith reported, hunched over a glowing console. It looks like they've discovered the location of the Prometheus and are planning to search for hidden human outposts. Robertson frowned, his mind racing. We need to split up. Maverick, you and Hax will try to reach the Prometheus first and recover any data you can. Ghost and I will infiltrate the Nigean fleet and sabotage them from within. As the team set their plan in motion, Maverick and Hax ventured into uncharted space, the stolen ship creaking and groaning around them. Suddenly, a blinking light on the console caught their attention. It's a distress signal, Hax said, his brow furrowed. Coming from a nearby planet. Should we investigate? Maverick nodded, already adjusting their course. We can't ignore it. It could be survivors from the Prometheus. The stolen ship descended through the planet's atmosphere, kicking up clouds of dust as it landed near the source of the signal. As Maverick and Hax stepped out, they found themselves standing before a makeshift settlement, its buildings weathered and worn by time. A group of humans emerged from the structures, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and disbelief. An older man, his graying hair pulled back into a tight braid, stepped forward. I am Ezra, leader of this colony, he said, his voice firm yet welcoming. We are the descendants of the Prometheus crew, isolated here for generations. Maverick and Hax exchanged shocked glances. They had stumbled upon a piece of living history, a long-lost remnant of humanity's past. As Ezra led them into the heart of the colony, he revealed that their ancestors had been part of the Prometheus's mission and offered to share their knowledge of the ship's advanced technology. On the other side of the galaxy, Robertson and Ghost had successfully infiltrated Admiral Primus's flagship, their stolen Nigean armor allowing them to blend in with the crew. They moved silently through the ship's corridors, planting explosives in critical systems and gathering vital intelligence on the Nigeans' military capabilities. But time was running out. As tensions reached a boiling point, Robertson knew that they would need to act fast to prevent the Nigeans from wiping out humanity's hidden outposts and seizing the secrets of the Prometheus. With the help of their newfound allies from the lost colony, Robertson's team began to formulate a daring plan to assault the Nigean fleet head-on, hoping to buy enough time for Maverick and Hax to uncover the key to turning the tide of the war. The stage was set for a battle that would determine the fate of both civilizations, as the secrets of the past collided with the desperate struggles of the present. Maverick and Hax stood before a massive console inside the Prometheus, their fingers flying over unfamiliar controls. Ezra hovered nearby, his weathered face etched with anticipation. There, Hax said, tapping a final key. That should do it. The console hummed to life, lights flickering across its surface. A melodic voice filled the air, startling them all. Greetings, I am Athena, artificial intelligence of the USS Prometheus. Maverick let out a low whistle. An AI? No wonder this ship was so advanced. Ezra nodded gravely. Athena was the heart of the Prometheus, but after the incident, she was shut down. Athena's voice chimed in again. My systems are now fully operational. I detect multiple threats in the vicinity. Shall I begin strategic analysis? Yes, Hax said quickly. We need a plan to counter the Nigean fleet. As Athena processed the information, alarms blared throughout the ship. Maverick's communicator crackled to life, Robertson's voice cutting through the noise. Maverick, Hax, do you copy? We've sabotaged Primus's flagship. Rendezvous at these coordinates. We're going to ambush the bastards. Hax grinned. Copy that. We've got a surprise for them too. With Athena's guidance, the colonial engineers swarmed over the Prometheus, repairing and upgrading its ancient weaponry. The ship groaned and creaked as it lifted off, leaving the hidden outpost behind. As they approached the asteroid field, Ezra pulled Robertson aside, his face grim. There's something you need to know, he said quietly. The reason the Prometheus was abandoned. It wasn't an accident. It was sabotage. Robertson's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? A rogue human faction, Ezra explained. They were after an artifact called the Nexus. It's said to hold unimaginable power, but it's dangerous. They caused the disaster trying to harness it. And you think the Nigans are after this Nexus too? Ezra nodded. It's the only explanation that makes sense. Robertson cursed under his breath. So we're not just fighting the Nigians. We've got traitors in our midst too. The Prometheus entered the asteroid field, its newly restored weapons primed. Athena's voice rang out, clear and confident. Nigian fleet detected, analyzing attack vectors. The vast expanse of space lit up as the battle began. Nigian ships, caught off guard by the ambush, scrambled to form a defensive line, but Athena's calculations were flawless, guiding the Prometheus through a dizzying series of maneuvers. Energy beams lanced out, carving through Nigian hulls with surgical precision. Explosions bloomed in the silence of space as ship after ship fell to the Prometheus's onslaught. Admiral Primus's voice crackled over the comms, fury evident even through the static. What trickery is this? No human vessel could... His words cut off abruptly as another volley from the Prometheus tore through his flagship's shields. But even as victory seemed within reach, a new threat emerged. A sleek, unfamiliar ship decloaked in the heart of the battlefield, its design unlike anything human or Nigian. Warning, Athena announced. Unknown vessel detected. Energy readings consistent with Nexus artifact. Robertson's blood ran cold as realization dawned. It's the rogue faction. They've been pulling the strings all along. The mysterious ship opened fire, its weapons cutting through both human and Nigian vessels with ease. As chaos engulfed the battlefield, Robertson knew the true fight for the hope of the universe had only just begun. The bridge of the Prometheus erupted in cheers as the last Nigian ship winked out of existence. Robertson slumped into the captain's chair, exhaustion etched on his face. We did it, Maverick whooped, clapping Hax on the back. Those Nigian bastards didn't stand a chance. But their celebration was short-lived. Athena's calm voice cut through the jubilation. Commander, I'm detecting an unusual energy signature in a nearby system. The mood on the bridge instantly sobered. Robertson leaned forward, brow furrowed. Show me. A holographic display flickered to life, revealing a pulsing beacon of energy. It could be the rogue faction, Ezra said, his weathered face grim. If they're after the Nexus. Robertson nodded. Athena, set a course. We need to check this out. The Prometheus glided through space, its crew tense with anticipation. As they entered the system, Hax called out, Holy shit, look at that. Floating before them was a massive derelict ship, its hull etched with intricate designs unlike anything they'd seen before. Ezra's eyes widened. By the stars, it's a preserver vessel. Preservers? Ghost asked. An ancient race, Ezra explained, said to have technology beyond our wildest dreams. Robertson made his decision. We're boarding that ship. Maverick, Hax, Ghost, you're with me. Ezra, you too. We need your expertise. They docked with the derelict, the airlock hissing open to reveal dark, silent corridors. Their flashlights cut through the gloom, revealing walls covered in strange symbols. This way, Ezra whispered, leading them deeper into the ship. They entered a vast chamber and stopped short. Rows upon rows of stasis pods lined the walls, each containing a perfectly preserved alien form. They're still alive? Maverick breathed. Hax was already at a nearby console. I think I can get some power flowing. His fingers flew over the alien controls. Suddenly, the ship hummed to life. Holographic displays flickered into existence, filling the air with cascading alien script. Athena, Robertson called over the comm. What are we looking at? The AI's voice echoed through the chamber. Translating now, Commander. It appears to be a log entry. The Preserver's homeworld was consumed by a spatial anomaly. They attempted to use the Nexus to counteract it, but... But what? Robertson pressed. The Nexus was too powerful. It backfired, creating the very anomaly that destroyed them. A heavy silence fell over the team. Where's the Nexus now? Ghost asked. Athena paused. Based on the final log entries, it appears the Nexus was jettisoned from the ship in their last moments. Its current location is unknown. Robertson opened his mouth to respond, but Athena cut him off. Commander, I'm detecting a massive energy surge from the outer reaches of the system. It matches the signature of the unknown ship from the battle. The rogue faction, Ezra growled. Robertson's face hardened. They're after the Nexus. We can't let that happen. Everyone back to the ship. We're going after them. As the team raced back to the Prometheus, events were unfolding across the galaxy. On the Nigean homeworld, Dr. Zorgan paced before a group of grim-faced leaders. The humans have bested us, he snarled, but we are not defeated. I propose we call upon our allies, the Kordath. Their brutality in combat is unmatched. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. One of the leaders spoke up. And what of Admiral Primus? As if on cue, the doors burst open. Primus strode in, his uniform singed and torn, but his eyes blazing with fury. I live, he growled, and I will see the humans burn for this. The Nexus will be ours, and with it, we will reshape the galaxy. Little did they know, another player was moving pieces on the cosmic chessboard. In a hidden base, a man with piercing eyes and a charismatic smile addressed his followers. My friends, Valen said, his voice smooth as silk, the Nexus is within our grasp. With it, we will create a new order, a human order, and nothing, not the Nigeans, not the Earth Defense Force, not even the ghosts of long-dead aliens Minyandia will stand in our way. The Prometheus dropped out of hyperspace, its hull gleaming in the light of an unfamiliar star. Robertson stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the monitor, as a barren, rust-colored planet came into view. Athena, begin surface scans, he ordered, his voice taut with anticipation. The AI's melodic voice filled the bridge. Scanning now, Commander, detecting unusual energy signatures emanating from the planet's southern hemisphere. Ezra leaned forward, squinting at the readouts. His weathered face paled. Those energy patterns, they're preserver technology. I'd stake my life on it. Robertson nodded grimly. Looks like we found our Nexus. Maverick, Ghost, gear up. We're going in. Minutes later, Robertson led a team of Marines through the airlock and onto the planet's dusty surface. The wind howled around them, whipping up clouds of red soil that clogged their visors. Structure's about 2 clicks southeast, Ghost reported, checking his wrist-mounted scanner, and it's deep. They trudged across the desolate landscape, the ground beneath their feet thrumming with hidden power. As they approached the coordinates, the soil gave way to reveal a massive door etched with intricate alien glyphs. Hax, we're at the entrance, Robertson radioed. Any luck cracking those symbols? Back on the Prometheus, Hax's fingers flew over his console. Working on it, boss. These preservers didn't mess around with their security. Suddenly the ground shook. The massive door began to slide open with a bone-rattling groan. That wasn't me, Hax said, his voice wavering. Robertson raised his rifle. Stay alert, people. We're going in. They descended into darkness, their helmet lights cutting through the gloom. The air grew thick with the scent of ozone and something else, something ancient and alien. As they ventured deeper, the corridor widened into a vast chamber. Strange pulsing lights danced along the walls, forming patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Watch your step, Maverick warned as the floor beneath them shifted, rearranging itself into a dizzying maze. Athena, Robertson called out. We could use some guidance here. The AI's voice crackled through their comms. Analyzing structure now, Commander. I'm detecting a series of energy barriers and gravitational anomalies. Proceed with caution. They pressed on, navigating through a gauntlet of shimmering force fields and gravity wells that threatened to tear them apart. Each step brought them closer to their goal, but the cost was high. 2 Marines were lost to a sudden vortex that appeared beneath their feet, their screams echoing through the complex before being suddenly cut short. Finally, they reached a massive circular chamber. In its center, suspended in a crackling energy field, floated a pulsating orb of pure light. The Nexus. My God, Ghost breathed. It's beautiful. Before Robertson could respond, a hail of plasma fire erupted from the shadows. They dove for cover as figures in sleek black armor poured into the room. "Valen's men!" Maverick shouted, returning fire. The chamber erupted into chaos. Energy bolts crisscrossed the air, leaving scorch marks on ancient walls. Robertson's team fought desperately, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Then a familiar voice cut through the din. "Hello, old friend." Robertson spun to see a tall, imposing figure step out from behind the Nexus. His face was hidden behind a mask, but Robertson would know that voice anywhere. "Valen," he growled. "You son of a bitch." Valen chuckled, raising a weapon that hummed with barely contained power. "Is that any way to greet your former commanding officer?" Robertson's mind reeled. Valen had been his mentor, his friend. How had it come to this? "Why, Valen?" he demanded. "Why betray everything we fought for?" "Betray?" Valen spat. "I'm trying to save humanity, you fool. With the Nexus, we could reshape reality itself. No more wars, no more suffering. We could be gods." Robertson shook his head. "You've lost your mind." With a roar of rage, Valen lunged forward. Robertson barely had time to raise his arms before they crashed together, grappling furiously. They rolled across the chamber floor, trading blows that echoed off the ancient walls. As they fought, the energy field containing the Nexus began to fluctuate wildly. Arcs of pure energy lashed out, vaporizing unlucky combatants on both sides. "Maverick!" Robertson shouted between punches. "Secure the Nexus! We need to get out of here!" Maverick and Ghost fought their way through the melee, inching closer to the artifact. With a final desperate lunge, Maverick grabbed the Nexus. The moment his hands touched it, the entire chamber shook violently. "Oh shit," Ghost muttered. "I think we broke it." The walls began to crumble as waves of uncontrolled energy poured from the Nexus. Robertson delivered a final crushing blow to Valen's jaw, sending him sprawling. "Everyone out!" he bellowed. "Move!" They ran, Maverick cradling the Nexus as the complex collapsed around them. They burst out onto the planet's surface just as a massive explosion rocked the ground beneath their feet. A colossal rift tore open in the sky, reality itself seeming to bend and warp. As they sprinted toward the waiting Prometheus, Robertson looked back to see the planet being torn apart, chunks of its surface being sucked into the growing anomaly. They barely made it aboard before Hax punched the engines, sending them hurtling away from the disintegrating world. On the screen, they watched in stunned silence as the planet vanished into the maw of the spatial rift. As the Prometheus limped away, alarms blared throughout the ship. Ezra's voice came over the intercom, tight with fear. "Commander, we've got incoming. It's the Kordath fleet, and they're not alone." The Prometheus shuddered as it pulled away from the disintegrating planet, its hull groaning under the strain. Robertson stumbled onto the bridge, his face streaked with sweat and grime. "Status report," he barked, gripping the back of his chair as the ship lurched. Hax's fingers flew across his console. "Hull integrity at 68%. We've got multiple breaches on decks 3 and 4, sealing them now." Ezra's weathered face was ashen as he studied the sensor readings. "Commander, you need to see this." A holographic display flickered to life, showing a swirling vortex of energy expanding rapidly from the point where the planet had been. Tendrils of crackling energy lashed out, consuming everything in their path. "Athena!" Robertson called out. "What are we looking at?" The AI's voice was calm, but there was an undercurrent of urgency. The detonation of the Nexus has created a spatial anomaly of unprecedented scale. Based on current projections, its growth rate is exponential. "How bad are we talking?" Maverick asked, his usual bravado gone. Athena's response chilled them to the bone. "If left unchecked, the anomaly will engulf the entire galaxy within 72 hours. Silence fell over the bridge. Robertson's mind raced, weighing their options. There was only one choice. "We have to go back in," he said, his voice steady. "We need to find a way to destabilize that thing from the inside." Ezra shook his head. "That's suicide, Commander. The gravitational forces alone would tear us apart." "What choice do we have?" Robertson countered. If we do nothing, billions die. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared. Ghost's voice crackled over the comm. We've got company! Nijin scouts on our 6! Robertson sprang into action. Maverick, Ghost, get to your fighters. Buy us some time. As Maverick and Ghost sprinted to the launch bay, Robertson turned to Hax and Ezra. I need you two to modify our shields and weapons. We're going into that anomaly, and I need this ship to hold together. Hax nodded, a grim smile on his face. We'll make it work, boss. Outside, Maverick's voice came over the comm, tight with concentration. These bastards are persistent. Ghost, on my wing. We're going to play a little game of cat and mouse. Robertson watched on the tactical display as Maverick's fighter darted toward the anomaly's outer edge, the Nijian scouts in hot pursuit. With a series of dizzying maneuvers, Maverick led them into the anomaly's gravitational field. The Nijian ship spun out of control, caught in the spatial distortions. That's how it's done, Maverick crowed as he and Ghost returned to the Prometheus. With the immediate threat neutralized, Robertson took a deep breath. All right, people, this is it. Athena, plot us a course to the heart of that anomaly. The Prometheus plunged into the maelstrom. Reality itself seemed to bend and warp around them. Bolts of energy lashed the hull, and gravitational forces threatened to crush them at every turn. Singularity dead ahead, Hax shouted. Robertson's hands flew over the controls, narrowly avoiding the yawning maw of a black hole that materialized out of nowhere. Athena, talk to me, Robertson grunted as he fought with the controls. Navigating optimal path, the AI responded. Caution, extreme spatial distortions detected. They pressed on, deeper into the chaos. The view screen was a kaleidoscope of impossible colors and shapes. Then, suddenly, they broke through into a vast, open space. At its center floated a massive, pulsating vortex of pure energy. It dwarfed the Prometheus, a monstrous maw ready to devour all of existence. My God, Ezra whispered. Robertson's mind raced. Their weapons would be useless against something like this. Then Athena's voice cut through his thoughts. Commander, I believe I have a solution. If we engage our experimental warp drive at precisely the right moment, we can create a subspace distortion that will interact with the anomaly's energy field. And destabilize it from within, Robertson finished. He nodded grimly. Do it. Robertson's hands tightened on the controls as he guided the Prometheus straight toward the heart of the vortex. Alarms blared as they accelerated to speeds far beyond safety limits. Now! Athena called out. Robertson slammed the warp drive engagement control. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the universe seemed to fold in on itself. The vortex's energy field collided with their subspace distortion. A blinding flash filled the view screen as a chain reaction tore through the anomaly. But something was wrong. Warnings flashed across every console. We're caught in the gravitational backwash, Hax shouted. Engines are offline. Robertson fought with the controls, but it was useless. They were being pulled inexorably toward the collapsing vortex. Then Athena's voice, tinged with an emotion Robertson had never heard from her before. Commander, I'm initiating emergency protocols. Prepare for immediate evacuation. What? No, Robertson protested, but it was too late. Escape pod hatches burst open across the ship. Robertson felt himself being pulled away from the bridge, Athena's final words echoing in his ears. It's been an honor serving with you, Commander. Robertson watched helplessly from his escape pod as the Prometheus, with Athena still aboard, plunged into the heart of the imploding anomaly. A blinding flash, and then nothing. As the escape pods drifted clear of the anomaly's remnants, a new horror greeted them. A massive fleet of Nijin and Kordath warships filled the starscape before them. Robertson's voice was barely a whisper as he took in the sight of their overwhelming foes. Now what do we do? Robertson's eyes widened as the escape pods emerged from the swirling remnants of the anomaly. A sea of hostile ships stretched before them, their sleek hulls glinting in the starlight. We've got company, Ghost's voice crackled over the comm. Before Robertson could respond, a familiar face materialized on the pod's view screen. Primus, the Kordath commander, sneered at them. "Surrender now, humans," he snarled. "Hand over the Nexus and I may grant you a quick death." Robertson leaned forward, his teeth gritted. "The Nexus is gone, Primus. We destroyed it. Its power was too dangerous for anyone to control." Primus's eyes narrowed. "You lie!" "It's the truth," Robertson shot back. "And even if we had it, we'd never give it to you." Primus's face contorted with rage. "Then you leave me no choice. Kordath fleet, open fire." The void lit up as plasma cannons blazed to life. Robertson's pod rocked violently as energy bolts seared past. "Evasive maneuvers," he barked. "Hax, can you do anything about their targeting systems?" Hax's fingers flew across his console. "I'm on it, Commander. Just need to... There!" Suddenly, the Kordath ships began firing wildly, their shots going wide or striking their own allies. "What's happening?" Primus roared, his image flickering on the monitor. Robertson allowed himself a grim smile. "Looks like your aim needs work." As chaos erupted among the enemy fleet, Maverick's voice cut through the comm chatter. "I've got an idea, Commander. These pods have proton torpedoes. If I can get close enough—" "Do it," Robertson ordered. Maverick's pod streaked forward, weaving through the disorganized Kordath formations. A stream of torpedoes erupted from his craft, slamming into the nearest enemy vessels. Explosions blossomed across their hulls, leaving them crippled and venting atmosphere. Primus's face reappeared, twisted with fury and disbelief. "This isn't over, humans. We'll be back, and next time, you won't be so lucky." The Kordath and Nigean ships began to retreat, their engines flaring as they fled into the darkness of space. As the last enemy vessel disappeared from view, an uneasy silence fell over the comm channel. Robertson took a deep breath, his mind racing. "We can't keep running," Ezra's weathered voice broke the quiet. "We need a place to regroup, plan our next move." "Agreed," Robertson nodded. "Any ideas?" Ezra's pod maneuvered closer. "There's a planet not far from here, uninhabited, but it might have resources we can use." "It's our best shot," Robertson decided. "Everyone follow Ezra's lead. We're going planet-side." The escape pod streaked through the atmosphere, touching down on a desolate, rocky plain. As the hatch hissed open, Robertson stepped out, his boots crunching on the alien soil. "Spread out," he ordered. "Look for anything we can use." They hadn't gone far when Ghost called out, "Commander, over here!" Robertson jogged over, his eyes widening as he saw what Ghost had found. A camouflaged hatch was set into the ground, barely visible among the rocks. "It's one of ours," Hax confirmed, studying the access panel. "An old Earth Defense Force outpost." With a grunt of effort, they pried the hatch open, revealing a dark tunnel leading underground. Activating their helmet lights, they descended into the facility. Dust-covered consoles and empty weapon racks lined the walls. It was clear no one had set foot here in years. "Hax, Ezra, see if you can get the power back online," Robertson ordered. "The rest of us will scout the perimeter, make sure we're secure." As Hax and Ezra set to work, Robertson, Maverick, and Ghost ventured back outside. They hadn't gone far when Maverick stopped short. "What the hell?" he muttered, brushing away some loose soil. Beneath their feet, barely visible, was a massive metal plate. It stretched out in all directions, far larger than the small outpost they'd discovered. "There's more here than we thought," Robertson realized. "Let's see where this leads." They followed the edge of the metal expanse, eventually finding another hidden entrance. This one was larger, clearly designed for vehicles. With effort, they managed to force it open. As they stepped inside, floodlights flickered to life, illuminating a sight that took their breath away. Row upon row of sleek, advanced starships filled a cavernous hangar. Their gleaming hulls bore the insignia of Earth, but the design was unlike anything they'd ever seen. "My God," Ghost whispered. "What is this place?" Robertson's eyes roamed over the ships, his mind blown at the implications. This could change everything. They stood there, awestruck, as the magnitude of their discovery sank in. The battle for humanity's future had just taken an unexpected turn, and the real war was about to begin. Robertson's eyes swept across the cavernous hangar, taking in the sleek lines of the Infinity ships. Their gleaming hulls promised hope, but the weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders. "Let's get to work," he ordered, his voice echoing in the vast space. Maverick and Ghost sprang into action, leading teams of engineers to the nearest vessels. The sound of boots on metal and the hum of diagnostic equipment filled the air as they began the painstaking process of bringing the long-dormant ships back to life. Hax hunched over a dusty console, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he battled the facility's ancient security systems. "Damn it," he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. "Valen's people really did a number on this place." Ezra leaned in, studying the flickering screen. "What are we dealing with?" "Booby traps, fail-safes, you name it," Hax replied, not taking his eyes off his work. "If we're not careful, we could trigger a cascade failure that'll fry every system in the complex." A tense silence fell over the group as Hax worked, broken only by the occasional curse or triumphant exclamation. Finally, after what felt like hours, he sat back with a satisfied grin. "We're in." As systems across the facility hummed to life, Robertson gathered the survivors. Earth Defense Force veterans stood shoulder to shoulder with colonists from Ezra's group, their faces a mix of hope and apprehension. "I know we've all lost so much," Robertson began, his voice carrying across the hangar. "But today we have a chance to turn the tide. These ships," he gestured to the Infinity Fleet, "represent humanity's last, best hope. With them, we can take the fight to the Nigenes and the Kordath. We can reclaim our future." A cheer went up from the assembled crowd, but it was cut short by a blaring alarm. Hax's voice crackled over the comm system. "Commander, we've got incoming! Nigene scout ships have picked up our energy signature." Robertson's mind raced. They weren't ready for a full-scale battle, but they couldn't risk being caught unprepared. "Maverick, Ghost, how many ships can we get operational?" "3, maybe 4, Maverick replied, his voice tight with tension. "It'll have to do," Robertson decided. "Everyone to battle stations. We're launching a preemptive strike." The next few minutes were a blur of activity as crews scrambled to their positions. Robertson took his place on the bridge of the lead Infinity ship, marveling at the advanced technology surrounding him. "All ships, report in," he ordered as they lifted off. "Infinity 2, ready," Maverick's voice came through clear and strong. "Infinity 3, standing by," Ghost added. "Infinity 4, all systems go," Ezra chimed in. The Infinity ships burst from the hidden hangar, climbing rapidly through the planet's atmosphere. As they broke into open space, they saw the Nigean scouts approaching, unprepared for the sudden appearance of unknown vessels. "Weapons free," Robertson commanded. "Let's show them what these ships can do." The Infinity Fleet unleashed a barrage of energy weapons unlike anything the Nigeans had ever encountered. Beams of searing light cut through the void, slicing through the scouts' shields as if they were paper. In a matter of minutes, it was over. The Nigean ships hung in space, crippled and venting atmosphere. But there was no time to celebrate. A priority transmission cut through the comm chatter. "Commander!" Hax's voice was urgent. "Long-range sensors are picking up a massive fleet. It's Primus. He's brought the entire Kordath armada." Robertson's expression resolute as he surveyed the tactical display. The human force was drastically outnumbered, but the Infinity ship's superior technology might give them a fighting chance. As he opened his mouth to give the order to engage, another alarm blared. "Sir," one of his officers called out, "we're receiving a distress call from a human colony. They're under attack by Nigean forces." Robertson's mind raced. They couldn't abandon their fellow humans, but splitting their already meager forces could be disastrous. He made his decision. "Maverick, Ghost, take your ships and a strike team. Rescue those colonists. The rest of us will hold the line here." As Maverick and Ghost's ships peeled away, Robertson turned his attention to the looming battle. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and he knew the choices he made in the next few hours would shape the future of their entire species. Robertson's hands gripped the arms of his command chair as he watched the tactical display. The overwhelming force of Nijin and Kordath ships bore down on them, their weapons blazing. He felt the weight of command crushing him, each second ticking away as he wrestled with an impossible choice. "Sir, we can't hold them off much longer," an officer shouted over the din of alarms. Robertson closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and made his decision. "Initiate the Exodus Protocol," he ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. The crew on the bridge froze for a moment, the gravity of the order sinking in. Then they sprang into action. "Broadcasting to all Infinity vessels and human outposts," the communications officer announced, her fingers flying across her console. Robertson's voice rang out across the fleet, steady and resolute. "This is Commander Robertson. We are initiating the Exodus Protocol. All ships, prepare for immediate departure. To those still planetside, make your way to the nearest evacuation point. We leave no one behind." As the message went out, the Infinity Fleet's engines flared to life, pushing against the relentless tide of enemy ships. Robertson turned to his tactical officer. "Get me Maverick and Ghost." Their faces appeared on the monitor, grim and determined. "Gentlemen," Robertson said, "I need you to coordinate the evacuation efforts. Get as many survivors aboard as you can." "Yes, sir," they replied in unison. The battle raged around them as transport ships darted between the massive Infinity vessels, ferrying refugees to safety. Nijin and Kordath fighters swarmed like angry hornets, their weapons' fire lighting up the void. Suddenly, a new threat appeared on the tactical display. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "we're detecting a massive energy buildup from the enemy flagship. It's Primus and someone else. They're launching an all-out assault." Robertson's eyes narrowed. "Krillax," he muttered. The Kordath warlord's reputation for brutality was well known. As if on cue, a barrage of devastating weapons fire erupted from the enemy flagship. The Infinity Fleet's shields buckled under the onslaught, but held. Robertson knew they couldn't weather this storm for long. He turned to his executive officer. "Prepare a strike team. We're going aboard that ship." Minutes later, Robertson led a small group of elite soldiers through the cramped corridors of a stealth shuttle. Hax sat at the controls, his face a mask of concentration, as he worked to bypass the enemy flagship's defenses. "I'm in," Hax announced, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Their primary defense systems are down. We have a clear path to the bridge." The shuttle slipped through a gap in the flagship's shield, latching onto the hull near an airlock. Robertson's team moved swiftly through the enemy ship, encountering only token resistance. As they approached the bridge, Robertson held up a closed fist, signaling the team to halt. He could hear Primus's voice on the other side of the door, barking orders. "On my mark," Robertson whispered, drawing his sidearm. 3, 2, 1, mark. The door exploded inward, and Robertson's team stormed the bridge. In the chaos that followed, Robertson found himself face to face with Primus. The Nijin commander's eyes blazed with hatred. "You!" he snarled, lunging at Robertson. The two adversaries grappled, trading blows in a furious hand-to-hand struggle. Robertson felt Primus's fist connect with his jaw, tasting blood. He responded with a vicious knee to the alien's midsection. They crashed into consoles, scattering panicked bridge crew. Robertson managed to get the upper hand, pinning Primus against a viewport. The stars streaked by outside as the battle raged. "It's over, Primus," Robertson growled, his arm pressed against the Nijian's throat. But Primus wasn't finished. With a burst of strength, he shoved Robertson away and dove for an escape pod. As the pod jettisoned, Primus's voice crackled over the comm. "This isn't over, human. I'll hunt you to the ends of the galaxy." Robertson watched the pod disappear into the chaos of the battle, his chest heaving. He turned back to his team. "Let's go. We've done what we came to do." As they made their way back to the Infinity Fleet, Robertson received an urgent transmission from Ezra. "Commander, we've made a discovery. The Lost Colony Elders. They have coordinates. A safe haven." Robertson's heart raced as he digested this information. Could it be true? A sanctuary beyond the reach of their enemies? "Send me the coordinates," he ordered, "and prepare the fleet for the jump. The Infinity Armada formed up, their massive engines humming with power. Robertson gave the order, and space itself seemed to bend as the fleet made the jump into the unknown. As the stars blurred around them, Robertson's thoughts turned to those they'd left behind. Maverick and Ghost, holding the line against impossible odds, and Hax. A lump formed in Robertson's throat as he remembered Hax's final transmission. The brilliant technician had stayed behind, overloading the flagship's reactor to cover their escape. The resulting electromagnetic pulse had crippled the pursuing enemy vessels, but at a terrible cost. The fleet emerged from the jump into a star system unlike any they'd seen before. Lush, green worlds orbited a golden sun, untouched by the ravages of war. As the Infinity ships moved into orbit around a particularly promising planet, Robertson stood at the viewport, gazing down at their new home. The weight of all they'd lost pressed down on him, but for the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. "We made it," he whispered to himself. "Now the real work begins." The golden sun rose over the lush landscape of New Eden, casting long shadows across the sprawling human settlement. Commander Robertson stood atop the central defense tower, surveying the thriving colony below. Fields of crops stretched to the horizon, dotted with gleaming habitation domes and industrial complexes. A hand clasped his shoulder. "Another beautiful morning, sir," Maverick said, joining him at the railing. Robertson nodded, a faint smile crossing his weathered features. "Hard to believe it's been 5 years since we arrived." Their moment of peace shattered as alarms blared across the colony. Robertson's comm unit crackled to life. "Commander, long-range scanners have detected multiple contacts entering the system." Robertson's eyes widened as he processed the information. No, it can't be. He raced to the command center, Maverick hot on his heels. The tactical display showed a massive fleet bearing down on their sanctuary world. Robertson's blood ran cold as he recognized the distinctive configurations of Nigean and Kordath warships. "How did they find us?" Maverick breathed. Before Robertson could respond, a familiar face appeared on the main view screen. Primus, the Nigean commander, sneered at them. "Did you really think you could hide forever, humans?" Robertson's heart made. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill." The colony erupted into frenzied activity as civilians rushed to shelters and defense crews manned their posts. Robertson gathered his senior officers around the holographic war table. "We're outnumbered and outgunned," Ghost said, his voice tight. "A head-on confrontation would be suicide." Robertson's mind raced. "Then we don't give them one. Maverick, what's the status of the improvements we made to the Infinity Fleet?" Maverick grinned. "The cloaking devices and EMP weapons are fully operational, sir." "Good, here's the plan." Hours later, Robertson watched from the bridge of his flagship as the enemy armada entered the system's dense asteroid field. Primus's overconfidence would be his undoing. "Now!" Robertson barked. The Infinity Fleet shimmered into existence, their advanced cloaking technology rendering them invisible until the last possible moment. They unleashed a barrage of electromagnetic pulses, frying the systems of dozens of enemy ships caught in the ambush. "Push them towards the spatial anomaly," Robertson ordered. The battle raged across the system. Human ships darted between asteroids, drawing the enemy into carefully laid traps. The superior maneuverability of the Infinity vessels allowed them to exploit every advantage of the treacherous terrain. Despite their initial success, Robertson knew they couldn't keep this up forever. He made a snap decision. "Prepare a strike team. We're going after Primus." The infiltration of the Nigean flagship went smoothly at first. Robertson led his team through dimly lit corridors, their path cleared by Ghost's expert hacking of the ship's systems. They burst onto the bridge, weapons raised, but instead of a surprised Primus, they found themselves surrounded by Nigean soldiers. "Welcome, Commander," Primus's voice boomed from a holographic projection. "I've been expecting you." Robertson realized too late it was a trap. The ensuing firefight was brutal and swift. He felt a searing pain in his side as a plasma bolt found its mark. Through blurring vision, he saw Maverick fall, and then everything went black. Back on the colony, Ezra and a team of elders worked frantically in a cavernous underground chamber. Ancient markings covered the walls, pulsing with an eerie light. "We're running out of time!" Ezra shouted, his hands flying over an alien control panel. "The artifact is our only hope." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Ghost's voice came over the comm. "The perimeter's been breached. Kordath forces are—" The transmission cut off abruptly. Ezra looked up in horror to see Ghost standing in the doorway, a Kordath blaster in his hand. "I'm sorry, old friend," Ghost said, his voice cold. "But Valen's vision is the only way humanity will truly survive." As Ghost moved to sabotage their work, Ezra made a desperate lunge for the artifact's activation switch. His hand slammed down on the control panel just as Ghost fired. A blinding light erupted from the artifact, engulfing everything. The very fabric of space-time seemed to tear apart. When the light faded, Ezra found himself standing on barren, lifeless soil. The lush world they had called home was gone, replaced by a desolate wasteland. In orbit above, the remnants of the human fleet drifted among the debris of the once mighty Nijin and Kordath armadas. Of Primus and Krillax, there was no sign. Days later, Robertson stood before the assembled survivors, his wounds still fresh. The despair in their eyes was palpable. "We've lost everything," someone in the crowd shouted. "What do we do now?" Robertson straightened, pushing aside his own doubts and fears. "We do what humanity has always done. We adapt, we survive, and we never, ever give up." As the Infinity Fleet prepared to depart once more into the unknown, Robertson gazed out at the stars. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but they had no choice but to press on. The future of humanity depended on it.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.